Well, it says the stream is up and running. So there's a couple. Oh, there it goes buffering. Oh, let's see what happens. Okay. There's actually a couple of people in here, it says. There's two waiting. Of course, since I'm watching it on my laptop as well as on here, that means there's one waiting, me and somebody else. Give it a few minutes, folks, for the YouTube to send out notifications on that it's up and running and remind people to come on in and get a few more people in here. Good thing got the cobwebs down. You notice I got to turn things around, got a different background. And right back in there would have been some cobwebs. I got them cleaned out for Christmas. Hey June, how you doing today? That's good. Did you have a good Christmas party last week? I'm doing fantastic, June. Finer than frogs hair. Nobody up north would know what we were talking about, but you do. You've heard that one before. Hey, kinfolk, how you doing today? I've sent a couple people to your channel, by the way. A couple of them that I've watched had mentioned they might think about quail. They might be interested in quail, but they didn't know anything about quail. I said, go to Kinfolk of Georgia. Kinfolk Farm of Georgia. He is a quail fanatic, and you watch his videos and you'll learn about quail. Kinfolk, I know your first name, but I have a lousy memory. I have to look at my own ID sometimes to see who I am. What's your name again, so I don't just keep calling you Kinfolk? Shane. I knew that, and I will ask you again, okay? I will probably ask you 5 or 6 times before it sticks. Oh, by the way, you mentioned me in one of your videos the other day. I don't remember if you said the channel name or not, but you said you were gonna be getting some pigs from a guy that raises large blacks in North Georgia, and since I'm the only one that does that, oh me, I figured you must be talking about Mountain Crest Farm. Folks are slow coming in. I just see you two. Usually Tom's in here. The moderator, he's usually in here as 5 minutes before. This is going to be a simple, short show if nobody else shows up. Just the 3 of us. At least I'll be able to remember names, right? Shane, June, and Bob. Oh. How long have you been raising quail, Shane? And you're talking about adding quite a few. Are you going to be adding quite a few? Do you have that much personal use for them? Or are you going to market them? Or what are you going to do with all those quail? Hey, D&D, how y'all doing? D&D is 2-seaters, Shane. That's Dave and Darcy. Not a whole lot, Dave. D&D, Darcy, whoever that is typing it in. Oh, just winding down after Christmas. Still trying to get over having way too full of a belly. I always say I'm not going to overeat at Thanksgiving and Christmas, and I always make a liar out of myself. I will. Yeah, Shane, I try to produce as much of my own food as I can here. Now, I don't have room for a garden like y'all do. Number one, I'm limited on total acreage. I don't have but 2.5 acres here. And most of it is woods. I have very little space for gardens. So I can't produce a whole lot of my own food that you grow. What I do grow, I grow some stuff in extremely small spaces that brings a pretty good premium price and sell it as a way to support the farm. I'm in the process, I've been in the process for a year and a half, but I'm in the process of getting a small greenhouse up to grow microgreens, which I can sell. And I'm going to put a small hoop house up to grow leafy, the fancy leafy greens that high-end restaurants like, special lettuces and baby carrots and things like that. And then I'm just going to have to go to other farmers and buy my own greens and things because I just don't have the space for that. Let's see. Somebody asked you to leave their live stream, June. Why? Because you don't have a channel? So what? If those of us that have channels didn't want anybody to watch our videos or our live streams except other people that have channels, we'd have real small viewership. That is, YouTube doesn't exist so creators can talk to each other. Yeah, there's creators on here. Kinfolk Farmer Georgia, he's got a channel. He's got a pretty good channel. Dave and Darcy over at Two Seaters, they've got a pretty good channel. Mary Grace, Nona Grace, who's in here most weeks. She's not in here yet today. I don't know if she might be in there and just hadn't said anything. She's got a channel. But so what? I've got a lot of people that watch that don't have channels. If I just limited it to other channels and let's say channels that were homesteading related, I'd have I've got 1,500 subscribers and I want to have 15,000 eventually one day. But if I limited it, if I told people, unless you've got a channel, don't come watch my channel, I wouldn't have 150 subscribers because there's not 150 channels out there that would come and see what I've got. That is just crazy, and that was rude of them to do it. You're always welcome here, Gene. Let's see. If y'all wonder why I keep looking down, I've got a laptop down here below the camera, and on the laptop is where the chat scrolls. So when I'm looking down, I'm reading the chat. Shane, I was nervous about doing it until I did it the first time. Of course, I don't know. You've seen some other videos, just the regular videos. I got a big mouth and I like to use it. I talk and talk and talk and don't know when to shut up sometimes. And I don't try to do a video. It's like we're all friends here. We all know each other. As far as I'm concerned, a live stream is like sitting around a great big round coffee table having a discussion. And when you think of it that way, there's nothing to get nervous about. Don't even look down. So see, I've got a laptop down below my camera. My camera's my phone. I've got a laptop down below it, and I can read the chat over here, and I can see myself right here, right down straight below there. I don't even look at it. I don't want to see if I look right, but when I first start the stream up every week, I look at it to see if it's blurry. I look at it to see if the lighting is halfway good. I know it's actually terrible because the lights that I'm lit with are reflecting off my glasses, and I know that looks like crud. But I don't even look down there, so I don't worry about it. It's just all of us are sitting around a table having coffee. That's all it is. Oh, let's see. June, same thing. You could do videos. Tinfoil Hatter, how are you doing? I think this is your first time in here, isn't it? I don't think I've seen you in here before. Haircut. Oh, these other folks in here will tell you that I just got one. It had gotten way too long. I put on my cap and it curled out under here and I had wings. I just got a lot cut off. It wasn't long enough to be a ponytail or anything like that, but it was way too much hair. Yes, tinfoil, it's on. Oh, and the week before I got the haircut, my beard was a fair amount longer than it is now. I put it this way, I get a haircut and I trim up my beard at least twice a year. Sometimes more, but no promises. There's Tom. I was beginning to get worried about you, Tom. Didn't know if you were going to show up or not. Hair down to your knees. Hey, RG, how you doing today? Time-wise, it is good afternoon, but I'm looking out the back door. It's dead dark here already. It's crazy. Oh. All right, we've got a few in here, a couple of new ones in here, and they're thinking, I thought I was coming to see a show. Let's go ahead and get started, besides just the highs and everything. First thing, and those of you who've been in here before get tired of it, but I got to do it. I just, my favorite, anybody that comes here to this channel, and you're looking for some place to donate money, don't donate it to the channel. Don't donate it to me. My favorite charity is the American Cancer Society's Hope Lodge in Atlanta. It's a place where people who have cancer and live over 60 miles from where they're being treated in Atlanta can stay for free during their treatment. It's an absolutely wonderful place. I spent a couple weeks down there. I may be down there again for too awful long. It's a great place, no charge. Just bring yourself, bring your clothes, and bring food, because they've got kitchen facilities and you've got to fix your own food. There is a link. Thomas just put it up, and it's also down in the description if you miss it in the chat. After the video's over and the description shows up and everything, it's down in the description. It's a wonderful place. Also, I do have a book out, and the name of the book is Yesterday I Couldn't Spell Pig Farmer, and Today I Are One. It's a great book for beginning pig farmers. It's only available on Kindle, so if you're an Amazon Prime member, you can read it for free, because there's an Amazon Prime lending library. The Prime members get to read 2 books a month for free. Otherwise, it's like $8.99, just not much. Let's see. I think that's about it on the house cleaning. Tom, did I forget anything? Yeah, I don't know where Mary Grace is, June. I didn't see where she had said anything about going anywhere today in her yesterday's video. I didn't see anything. I don't know. I can't. People don't owe me allegiance to. People do not owe me an hour every week from 6 to 7. If they stop in, I really appreciate it. I really appreciate my viewers. And if they don't stop in, well, that's okay. So how you been doing, JR? we're getting our regulars in. They're just coming in a little bit slow. That's okay. And according to my computer, I am now buffering, I think. Is this making it out? Because it's not making it back to me. The chat is scrolling along fine, but there's just a little circle going around and around and around on the video. I bet it's going to kick me off. I didn't even hear about that church shooting in Texas until about an hour ago. That is just horrendous, number one. And number two, it proves that a good guy with a gun stops a bad guy with a gun. That's terrible. Well, I appreciate that, RG. I tried to do a good job when I wrote it, and I'm going to follow it up with another book that I'm working on now about breeding and raising and farrowing, which I didn't know much about then, because when I wrote that book, I didn't know enough to cover that real well. Audio and video is working good out there. Well, okay, it's just not making it back to me. Let's see. Okay, the topic I had planned for today was what kind of plans do y'all have for 2020? Now, I'm not talking about those of us who have YouTube channels. I've got a video that's coming out about, it'll be out Tuesday probably, big changes coming in the Mountain Crest Farm channel. And y'all are just going to have to wait until that video comes out Tuesday to see what those big changes are. But in general, I'm not talking about YouTube channels, in general. And I'm not talking about New Year's resolutions. I don't make New Year's resolutions because New Year's resolutions always get broken. But everybody this time of year plans. I'm not talking about planning to quit smoking. I'm not talking about planning to change your personal attitude. That's a resolution, and I'm not talking about those. What do you have planned for 2020? Are you going on a cruise? Is anybody going on? I think there's a Gaither. If you're big fans of Southern gospel music, like I am, then you know who Bill Gaither is. And the Gaither group always does a cruise every year. Is anybody planning on going on a cruise? Not me. I don't. The only thing I want to go on saltwater for is to go fishing, and you can't fish from a cruise ship. But anybody planning any trips to Disney? What are your plans other than getting up in the morning, fixing breakfast, and going to work, and then coming home and going to sleep at night? What are y'all's plans for 2020? Let's see what everybody has to say. Yeah, June, the Gaithers are awesome. Some of the people in here are new to the channel and don't know my backstory very good. But I will tell you right now that the Gaither homecoming shows back when, I don't know if they're still on TV or not. They're all recorded because they hadn't made any in a while. But back in the early 2000s, 2003, 2004, they were on here on ETC TV here. I forget the network that carried them at that time, but they were on at 8 o'clock every single night. And then they were also on Saturday mornings and Sunday afternoons. And the Gaither homecoming shows played a huge, huge part in me getting sober. 4 specific songs by 4 specific artists were something I clung to when I was sitting there wondering, can I ever get out of this mess? One of them was my favorite bass of all time, George Yance. One of them was a song by George Yance. I'll put a link in the description down to them because they're all on YouTube and they're awesome songs. One of them was a song by Linda Randall The God on the Mountain, sung by Linda Randall, is just a fantastic song. One of them was Michael English, and one of them was Jesse Dixon. Those four songs I hung on to real hard till I figured out, what can I do? How do I get out of this mess? And that's enough for that. Gaithers are awesome. June, I used to love to camp, and I still would, except for one thing. I can get down to the ground to go to sleep in my sleeping bag real good, no problem. But it takes a crane to get me up. My knees and hips are so shot that getting up off the ground, I would love to go camping, but I'm not real sure that I'd be comfortable. JR, last I heard, two lost their lives, but one of them was the shooter. Did the one that was critically injured, did he die? Big farm stuff in 2020. One of them is adding lots and lots more quail, I think, kinfolk. Aren't you building one or two more quail pens and tightening them up enough? Did you ever figure out what kind of critters getting your birds? I saw in one of your videos that they're pulling the wire up at the corner and had gotten one, I think, or two. Did you ever figure out what got them? Trip to Colorado, trip to Alabama, trip to Georgia, trip to Virginia. Tom, if you're going to be spending all your time on the road, who's going to raise the pigs next year? You are bringing Dawn with you, aren't you? JR, Shane at Kinfolk Farm raises quail. And I believe you're the one that, I think you're one of them that I told to go over to his channel. You had commented on one of my videos, and I told you that the person to go see was Shane at Kinfolk Farm. I think that was you. It might have been somebody else. Don't know for sure. Two-seaters, Dave, you and me both. First of 2019 was not great for me either. So you and I both are going to do better in 2020. Jerusalem artichokes I have never grown, June, but there is one small farm here in Pickens County that does, and they have used them to replace their potatoes. They don't eat potatoes anymore. Jerusalem artichokes are a really good replacement for potatoes, and you don't wind up with all the carbs, which means you don't wind up turning carbs into sugar and turning sugar into fat, which means I should be eating Jerusalem artichokes, I think. Yeah, JR, there's supposed to be an absolutely even swap for potatoes and flavor and texture and everything. Of course, you can't do a baked Jerusalem artichoke because it doesn't grow the right shape and size. But mashed potatoes and things like that, but it doesn't have any of the bad stuff in it. Mainly carbs. I'm not going to say bad stuff. Carbs aren't bad. You just don't want too many of them. I don't know anything about breeds of quail. I have thought about them, mainly in the last few months since I started watching your channel, Shane. I have thought about them and thought about. I don't have chickens. I've got to be the only homesteader in the world that doesn't have chickens. I used to. I had chickens back in 2000. Oh, 5, 6, 7. I had 100 laying hens, and they were all brown egg layers, all free range brown layers. And given what Whole Foods charges for free range brown eggs, $7.95 a dozen back then, I was able to get $6 a dozen for them. And I'm going to get chickens again, and for the eggs. I'm not going to get meat birds. But you got me thinking about quail. I don't know if I am or not, but you sure got me thinking about it. I know I love eating them, kinfolk. I'm from South Georgia, and there's a lot of quail hunting down there now. I'll tell you right now that I've never shot a quail. I can't hit a bird. I do like to hunt. I'm not an anti-hunter or anything like that. Hang on a second. By the way, this is a present from my daughter-in-law. Christmas present. She made this. It probably showing up backwards on the screen, but she makes things like this. I think she's going to have an Etsy store fairly soon. Either that or just a standalone website. I don't know which. But anyway, I hunt all the time, or used to. My feet have gotten so bad I don't walk the woods much. But I've gone bird hunting a lot. Dove hunting, quail hunting down South Georgia. I've gone duck hunting. I have probably fired 5,000 rounds at birds in my life. You know how many birds I have hit firing 5,000 rounds? Goose egg, big fat 0. I'll knock a deer down. I have shot a deer at 850 yards, and I can't hit a bird to save my life. I don't know what it is about it, but I can't hit birds. Let's see. Just doing a little bit of reading. Hang on just a second. You know, I don't know how she gets the wood grain look like. I know the lettering and the pig and the cow are vinyl stickers. She's got what they call a cricket cutter machine that does all this blue. How she does the wood grain, I don't know, because it doesn't start out that way. This is a Ozark Trail cup. This is the same cup that you buy at Walmart, which is just as good as a Yeti and doesn't cost near as much. But they don't make them like this. She gets the stainless steel, just like my big. This is 20 ounce. This is my 40 ounce. She gets it stainless steel, and I don't know how she puts this wood grain on here. I know she is thinking about. I think she has sold some, and like I say, I think she's thinking about an Etsy store or a standalone website. And I don't know how she puts it on there. Let's see. Yeah, RG, that does look good. That's usually coffee cup size, but I figured I was going to have my switchel. You know what switchel is? Haymaker's punch. I'm doing a video about it coming up pretty soon too. Put it in here just to show it off on the live stream, because sometimes she's on here. That's what I usually have my switchel in for hydration. You know, hydration is just as important in the winter as it is in the summer. It's not just when you're hot and sweating you need to stay hydrated. Let's see, what am I missing? Yeah, well, I didn't know that, JR, but it doesn't really matter because I don't buy anything Yeti. I don't. They're what Yetis are so overpriced. You can get, I don't care if it's their coolers, their mugs, anything else. You can get something just as good for a lot less money. But and I don't buy them for that reason. But if they're anti-gun, that's another reason to not spend and not hand them any money. That is hand painted, Kayla. Kayla, there, she's the one that did this. She is. That's my daughter-in-law, and she's the one that did this, which I really like. That thing's been busy today. It's full of coffee until an hour before the show started, and now it's full of switchel. Yeah, I can't, June, I can't stand water. I hate water with a passion. It's got to be flavored somehow. Flavor it with coffee, I like it. Flavor it with iced tea, I like it. Flavor it with switchel, I like it. But I can't stand water. But you got to have lots of water. And since I've got one compromised kidney, I kind of like to keep them working like they should be. So I stay real hydrated. It's not just during the summer, but this thing's 40 ounces. And when I come off of coffee at about 10:30, 11 o'clock in the morning, usually, that thing's full the rest of the day. And I go through about a gallon of Haymaker's Punch, Switchel, call it whatever you want to. Like I said, there'll be a video coming up about it pretty shortly, recipe and everything. The recipe is a piece of an old video from a year and a half ago, but you can't tell it from the title of the video. I did a video on something, and then at the end threw in switchel. But I'll be doing one specifically on switchel, not too awful in the not too distant future. And it's a good way to stay hydrated. It's the 1850s version of Gatorade. Gatorade's not as good for you as you think it is. Read the ingredients. There's stuff in there that you don't need to be putting in your body. Switchel, there's nothing in there that you shouldn't be putting in your body. RG, Kinfolk Farm of Georgia, Shane, he's the one that is raising quail, but it looks like there's several of us around that are interested. I didn't know that, JR, but he's a smart man, of course. He was wanting to put something in his that I don't put in mine anymore. I used to. Not plain water, tonic water, gin and tonic water. Now, Tom, when are you planning on heading south? You're going to Colorado next year. I say next year, that's only a few days. You're going to Colorado. You're going to Virginia. You're coming down here. You're going over to Dave and Darcy's over in Alabama. Do you have a schedule? Or are you getting like Prepstead Bob and the Self-Reliant Home Show? Do you actually have a schedule here to here to here to here to here certain days, or just playing it by ear, or what? Okay, Tom, Colorado's in June. Yeah, JR, I was out there looking at the start of the little greenhouse for the microgreens. I've already got the framework up. I started that. I put the framework up for the microgreens greenhouse in the first week of October of 2018. 2.5 weeks later is when I was diagnosed with cancer, and everything quit around here. Everything. The pigs got fed. That was it. I between all the running to doctors, going places for tests, and where is it, and how bad is it, what do we got to do about it, and then finally getting the surgery and the radiation treatments and everything quit. Everything. And that framework is still sitting up out there. And it's going to get started back probably in late January, mid-February. When I put the framework up, I already have the greenhouse covering, the greenhouse plastic. You can't see it, but I've got a loft right there, and it's up in the loft. I've already got that, and I've already got seed. I don't know if it'll be any good. I'll have to find out, because that seed's 1.5 years old now. I've already got the flats. I've already got the growing medium. I got everything except it done, and yeah, that'll be getting started, like I say, probably getting it all finished, put together toward the end of January, and it'll all be, every bit of it will be videoed. Let's see. I need somebody that can climb a radio tower, Dave. I don't have a pine tree I need to climb. My pine trees I just need to cut down, but I've got 60-foot tower for my ham radio antennas laying out there on the ground that I ain't climbing it. I get a nosebleed. I get about third rung on a step ladder. I get a nosebleed. I just do not do heights. Do they even know what quail are in Arizona? I've always thought of quail as a southeastern thing. Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, maybe Arkansas, maybe a little bit of North Carolina, Tennessee. I always thought of that as a southern thing. JR, I've got my yurt, this main yurt. I got 2 yurts here. I've got this main yurt, and then I've got a 8x12 room that attaches to another yurt that's 16 feet in diameter. That's bedroom for my daughter. The main yurt on the front side is 4 feet off the ground. On the back side, it's 8 feet off the ground. My daughter's yurt, the closest, the farthest from the ground on the very back side is 12 feet off the ground. And then it's another 8 feet up to the eave. I went up there to clean out the gutters one time, put a ladder up against it, climbed up the ladder, and I got all the way to the top. Shaking like a leaf by the time I got up there, but I got all the way to the top, and I get to the top, and I'm hanging onto the ladder, and I said to myself, okay, reach out there and clean the gutter. Hand wouldn't come loose. Okay, let's go clean out that way. I couldn't turn loose the ladder. I was so scared. I just don't do heights at all. Part monkey. Dave, I've got a son-in-law. I ain't gonna tell you a whole lot about him because I shouldn't. I will tell you that I've got a son-in-law named Isaac, who is a monkey. I swear. That guy, you can stand a ladder up. He doesn't climb a ladder like this. He just runs up it like a set of stairs, turns around and ladders behind him, runs down it like a set of stairs. Gets on a roof and runs up, and you'd think he's on flat ground all the time. Not me. And I said his name was Isaac. It's not Isaac. That's his brother. Isaiah is his name. And that's about all I'm going to say about that son-in-law. Okay, what did I miss? RG says we have the same one in California, New Mexico. The same one what? What did I miss? Now, JR, that's funny. I can't go up a ladder, but I love to fly. My old man was a pilot in the Air Force. My dad would be 100 years old this past October. He was born October of 1919. And he went in the Air Force before it was the Air Force. He went the Army Air Corps in 1941, before World War II started. He went in the Air Force, and it was the Army Air Corps. Back then, enlisted people got their wings. When he made sergeant, they sent him to flight school, and he flew during World War II. Got out after World War II, was recalled for Korea, and they told all the guys that they recalled for Korea, if you stay in after Korea, because they were needing pilots, even after Korea was over, if you stay in, we'll give you your commission, so you can be an officer. And all that time when you were out between World War II and Korea, we'll count that as continued service. So he just stayed in. So when I was growing up, when all the other kids went hunting and fishing with their dad and camping, he and I went flying. When he was still in the Air Force, we were always a member of the local aero club. Every Air Force base has an aero club. They rent out planes to the guys that fly for recreation. And then when he retired from the Air Force down to South Georgia, we had a plane. So when everybody else was hunting, fishing, camping, Dad and I were flying. So I love to fly, and got my license the day I was old enough. I already had, on my student ticket, I soloed it like 2 hours or 3 hours because I'd been flying for years. And I think I had about 250 hours as a student before I got old enough to actually get my private ticket. And I've been licensed ever since. I hadn't flown in years. Medically, I lost my license several years back. Started having heart attacks and lost my license then, but I love to fly. Looks like everybody around here can climb a ladder except for me. Oh well. JR, just lost the feed. You mean the live stream feed? Anybody else lose it? Or just JR? Okay. So what's everybody else doing in 2020? Shane's going to expand his quail operation. RG, Shane's got a good channel. It's a very, some channels are instructional but just boring as all get out, and it's a chore to watch them. And some are fun to watch and don't teach you a flipping thing. On my channel, I try to be instructional and entertaining when I'm doing the homesteading stuff. And Shane's comes across the same way. It'll teach you some stuff, and it's also an enjoyable channel to watch. It's not a chore to sit there watching his videos. Those videos where somebody's going to show something that you want to know how to do, and you're constantly skipping through it, jumping ahead 30, 45 seconds at a time to get to the part where they tell you what you want, what you really want out of the video, and that's all you watch. Shane's isn't like that. I hope mine's not like that. Shane's, you'll start watching the video, excuse me, and you'll watch it all the way through. Shane, what are you going to raise? Tilapia? Thank you, June. Appreciate the kind words, really do. Y'all have got me thinking more and more about quail, and it was just until I started watching Shane's channel, I didn't even consider it. Then I started watching his channel, and I thought, that's a maybe thing. And now y'all are making me think about it even more and even more and even more. In your yard, how you doing today? Or I'm going to say how you doing tomorrow, because it's tomorrow, it's not today, where you are. JR, that could be good or bad, you know. Oh, me. Catfish and brim. You, if you're raising catfish and brim, you're not doing like some people I know and putting up above ground swimming pools to raise them. You must have a pond that has a fair amount of fresh water flowing into it. Maybe even a stream in and a stream out. I can't remember if I've seen a pond. Yeah, I do remember seeing a pond on your channel. Matter of fact, you were just talking about it in your last or next to last video. Said, as a matter of fact, if I remember right, I remember you saying you were going to get it stocked. I thought you were just getting it stocked for your own fun for fishing, going to get it stocked with trout and bass or something like that, just for your own fishing. I didn't know you were going to be raising fish. Maybe I hadn't been paying as much attention to your channel as I thought I had. Oh, by the way, y'all knew I got cattle, what, been 3.5, 4 months ago now. And y'all knew I had one cow that last time she had a calf, it messed up her cervix and she couldn't have any more cattle, so she was going to the slaughterhouse. And she went to the slaughterhouse and back from the slaughterhouse, and she's down there underneath my daughter's yurt platform down there. I mean, after all, it's 12 feet off the ground. There's a platform down there, a freezer, and that freezer is full of cow now, cow and pork. I got a pig slaughtered about a month and a half ago, and I just got the meat back from the cow the week before Christmas. Let me tell y'all something. Wagyu beef is everything that I have heard it was. I'd never had Wagyu. I can't afford it. Wagyu is expensive. And that's what I'm raising now. It's Wagyu cattle. It's over, matter of fact, it's right next door to my daughter-in-law in here, Kayla. It's right next door to her on my father-in-law's 10, 11, 12 acres. And this cow that can't have babies anymore, she went to the slaughterhouse and came back, and whew, let me tell you, so far we've had roast in the crock pot, which that's going to make it tender anyway. You cook it in a crock pot long enough, everything's tender. You make shoe leather tender in a crock pot. But we had a roast that I smoked and I screwed up on for Christmas. We had turkey and roast for Christmas, and the roast came out pretty tough. If Kayla's still on here, she'll vouch for that. It tasted great, but it was pretty tough. But then night before last, let's see, today is Sunday, so yeah, Friday night. Ooh, I got some T-bones out, and they're melting your mouth. You don't need a knife. You don't need a knife. Just cut them with a fork. Melt in your mouth, tender. And T-bone's not really a very tender steak. New York strip's a lot more tender, and obviously filet mignon's extremely tender. But T-bones and porterhouse are great on flavor, but they're not the most tender meat in the world. But you could cut this with a knife. I am now sold on Wagyu beef, and that means I'm going to have to continue to raise them for the rest of my life because I sure can't afford to buy it. That stuff is way, way, way pricey. Let's see. Yeah, Kayla, I hate to say it, but it was jerky. It was dry and tough. I tried to smoke it, and you don't smoke a roast like you do well, it was done, but I was trying to do it in a shorter time, so I figured I'd just smoke it done. I wouldn't smoke it tender, so instead of taking it to 203 degrees like you would uh, a brisket, I took it to 150, so it was done, and it tasted great, but it was tough. It was really tough. Okay, now that they know about the roast in this last week and what it was like, tell them about the brisket last Christmas. JR, I really, really want to try sous vide. The only trouble is the cheap sous vide tools start at roughly $100. I think I've seen one for $99, and for the most part, they're about 119, and that's for the cheap ones. A decent sous vide circulator starts about 160, 180 bucks, and that is just not on my budget right now. I would love to try it. One of the regulars in here that's not here tonight, Nona Grace, she's got a sous vide circulator that I think she said her son bought her, and she's never used. I don't think she and Jim eat a whole lot of meat. I don't think they're vegetarians, but I think they just happen to not eat a whole lot of meat. But she's got one and had never used it. I'd love to have one and do a video on sous vide because I'm going to start doing more cooking stuff on my channel. It's going to be one of the things that I do more. I've done a few, but you got to really look to find them. And I'd love to do one on sous vide, but I don't have the pennies to spend on it right now. Let's see. Yeah, JR, homesteaders have a hard time just letting go of $200 here and there and yonder. Well, if I had cooked those roasts right, JR, it still would have been melting your mouth. Um, I know the T-bone steaks were. I just try. There's only so much you can do with a roast. I don't care what kind of cow it came from. You're not going to take a shoulder roast and have it be tender when all you've done is bring it to 150 degrees and to get it done. It's not going to be. Sous vide might do it differently, might make it tender, but I don't think even that'll do it with a roast, because still all you're doing is bringing it to the right temperature. I think to make the roast really a really tender roast, I think you have to do just like brisket and take it all the way to 203 degrees. All right, Dave. Nice. Glad you came in tonight. Y'all have a good evening over there and a great New Year. If I don't talk to you till next year, next year will be next Sunday. And stay warm. Chilly air is coming. It's not bad last night, not bad tonight. Tomorrow night's going to be a little bit chilly, low 30s. I know you folks that live up north, you think I'm whining when I say low 30s is cold, but dang it, it's cold for me, so that's what counts for me. But it's supposed to get chilly, so stay warm over there. Oh, one of those pressure cookers that's also a fryer. What do they call that thing? Uh, Come on, Kayla, you know what we're talking about. Something pot. It's sort of a pressure cooker and sort of a fryer and sort of everything. Instapot. There you go. Um, I hadn't I hadn't tried one. I don't know anybody that's got one. Do you have one, Kayla? We don't have one. We've got everything else in the kitchen. I guess that's the only two things we don't have is an Instapot and sous vide. Um, you got to understand, our kitchen is, let me see, how do I put this? Okay, my wife, when I met her, was working for a company called Kitchen Collection, who just, if you ever heard of Kitchen Collection, they had all sorts of good kitchen equipment, and they were in these malls like outlet store malls. Well, if you like Kitchen Collection and you ever want to get anything from them again, you can't do it. They closed up last day. They were whole company closed all 160 stores. Last one closed the 26th of this month. Um, Jeremy's gonna sell the stove. Uh, she worked for Kitchen Collection when I met her, and had for years. And I hate to brag, but I will anyway. I'm a damn good cook. And I don't mean just out on the barbecue either. I'm a good cook. So she had, because of where she worked, and Cindy's a good cook besides working at Kitchen Collection, so she had everything you needed in the kitchen. And I had everything you needed in the kitchen. And you combine those two households, all of a sudden, it's just a disaster. It's a disaster in the kitchen, and it stays that way because we don't have room for everything, and neither one of us wants to get rid of anything. So we've got everything in the world, but we don't have an Instapot, and we don't have a sous vide circulator. Frozen to tender in 55 minutes. That is awesome. All right, Shane's wife and daughter have an Instapot. Have Instapots. Tom, I can't wait to. Oh, I gotta wait, but probably Tuesday, maybe tomorrow, but probably Tuesday. We'll have our first Wagyu hamburgers, and I'm looking forward to seeing how that turns out. I'm gonna do some stuffed burgers, stuff them with cheese and mushrooms. Well, stuff Cindy's and mine with cheese and mushrooms, and stuff Sarah, my daughter's, with just cheese because she doesn't like mushrooms. But I'm going to try that Monday or Tuesday. See how Wagyu burgers turn out. I guess everybody's got an Instapot or going to get one. I guess we're going to have one here for too awful long. Looks like we're going to be the only people in the world that don't have one. All right, I keep getting started. Y'all get me started running off the mouth like about Instant Pots and Wagyu and all that. What kind of plans y'all got for 2020? Okay, Jr., Tom, and me. That's the three of us. We don't have Instant Pots, and I don't think any of us have sous vide circulators either. But I would love to have one. That is something I want to save my pennies for. But I'm going to get a good one. I'm not going to get a $99 sous vide circulator that doesn't do a good job. So I'll have to save my pennies to get a good one. We know what Tom's doing this summer. He's going all over the country visiting other YouTube channels. Don't have to go all over the country to see June. She's only 40 miles over that way. 40 miles over that way, and to see her, I know where to go get biscuits first thing in the morning. She'll be there. And Shane, he's that way, about 85, 90 miles, Shane, something like that. Now, some of these folks, like, I'll tell you one, talking about going to, I said, when I was saying, what are y'all doing? I asked, is anybody going on a cruise or anything? I don't want to go anywhere. I like where I am. People ask me why I hardly ever leave. I hardly ever leave my property. If I'm going to the doctor, if I'm going to the grocery store, if I'm going over to Chatsworth to see Kayla and Jeremy and my father-in-law and Lester and Melissa, my sister-in-law and brother-in-law, I get off the property. But other than that, I don't go anywhere, and I don't want to. And somebody said, why don't you ever go anywhere? I said, look, when I lived in Atlanta and I needed some decompression time, do you know where I went? I went to the mountains of North Georgia, which aren't really mountains, by the way. They're little old hills. People need to see the Rockies, and then they'll know what a mountain is. Smoky Mountains aren't even mountains. They're bigger hills. But anyway, I came to the mountains of North Georgia when I needed some decompression time. I live here now. If I live where I used to go on vacation, why do I need to go anywhere? This is where I want to be. My place looks kind of cruddy. Right, Kayla? I need to clean it up, make it look prettier. Yeah. But I don't need to go anywhere. But there's one person in the chat room I'd love to go see because of where he lives. In Your Yard Homestead. I would love to go to Australia, despite the fact that it's one of the longest plane rides you can take. I would love to go to Australia, and on the way to Australia, I would like for the plane to land just long enough for a stopover, just to stop and, I don't know, pick up a couple extra people, land in Hawaii. That way I can say I've been in Hawaii, because I've been in 49 states. Hawaii is the only one I haven't been in. So I would love to have a trip to Australia with a stopover in Hawaii. Other than that, I'm really not interested in traveling that much. $2.30, my goodness. Oh, are you that far down, Shane? I thought you were like not that far outside the perimeter. I knew you were southwest of Atlanta, but I didn't realize you were that far. So you're what, between Columbus and LaGrange? June, the only thing that the beach has that I like is out there past the beach, salt water. I wouldn't go on a cruise if you paid me to, but I love saltwater fishing. Yeah, JR, people talk about the mountains when they get up in the Smokies around here, and I just laugh at them. You know you're getting the mountains when you're traveling west. You get into Colorado, and there's the Rockies. There's the mountains. We're almost there. You can see them. That's at 8 o'clock in the morning. And at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you're still saying, I can see them. We're almost there. No. Here, you can see it, and 10 minutes later, you're there. When you can drive all day and see them and you're not there yet, that's when you're talking about mountains. They were clearancing Instapots for $13. Jeez. Yeah, JR, they've got those really fancy seats and they cost a fortune too. See you next week in your yard, homestead. Josh, I think your name is. Hope you have a fantastic week and a great new year. And you get your new year one day before we do. I don't think that's fair. You know I'm kidding. You have a blessed week, Josh. JR, I used to live out in Rapid City, South Dakota, so what everybody here takes for a 2-week vacation, that was an afternoon spent for us if we were going to the Badlands or going to spearfish or Deadwood or Sturgis before it was a big bike hangout. And God, I've been to Mount Rushmore so many times, it's not even funny. And then it was a weekend trip, just 3-day weekend, long weekend, go to Yellowstone and the Grand Tetons and Devil's Tower, Pikes Peak. Those are mountains. These aren't mountains around here. How old are you, JR? I'm betting I went to spearfish before you were born. I used to go to, no, 62, okay. Okay. Yeah, I spent time in spearfish from the time I was, well, we used to go spearfish in Deadwood and all those little towns. We used to go, we were stationed my dad was stationed at Ellsworth Air Force Base. And we were there 5 years, and we probably went to Devil's Tower and the stuff that's fairly close to, we went to places like Yellowstone probably 5 or 6 times, but the places that were closer to Ellsworth, like Spearfish and Deadwood and Sturgis and Devil's Tower and Mount Rushmore, that was like 6 or 8 times a year. But that was when, about from 19, I think Dad got transferred there in 59, and then 64 was when he retired. Devil's Tower is a cool place. That's just a cool piece of geography. Well, JR, you do know there was a gold rush back in It was shortly before the 49ers out in San Francisco, here in Georgia, in North Georgia. Honestly, I'm not telling a joke. There was a smaller gold rush here. As a matter of fact, what killed the gold rush here was the one out in California, because they were finding so much more there than they were here. Although here it was a pretty good gold rush. And little town, oh, I'm guessing it must be 30, 40 miles from here, is a town where the gold rush was centered around. It's in Lumpkin County, Georgia, and the town's Dahlonega. And there's an awesome restaurant in Dahlonega that used to be an old hotel. And in the basement, they built it over a mine. The guy that owned the land and found this gold under there and built the house over the mine. It was a house, and then it was a hotel, and now it's a restaurant. Built the place over the mine so nobody could see it. And he had people working for him in his hotel so that he and his buddies could be down in the basement mining gold all the time. And this hotel didn't do any business, but this guy was getting rich and nobody could figure out why. It was because there was a gold mine in the basement. Now that is good living. When you can have a gold mine in your basement, you're living good. Well, I can't keep up with the chat anymore because my computer just died, which means my light just died. I think the computer battery died. I think that means I probably talked enough. You reckon? I can't see anything going on to tell you bye. I can see the screen on my phone. That's all I can see. And apparently I've just talked way too much. So I hope y'all enjoyed tonight. Love it, sheer genius. Oh, the hotel? Yeah. I'm assuming it didn't cut me off. I don't even know that for sure. But I'm glad y'all stopped in tonight. I really appreciate y'all stopping in for my live streams, and I'll be putting more videos out during the week that I have been. I've been a lot slack lately. Be watching for that video about the changes coming in the channel in 2020. Don't forget my favorite charity. My favorite charity is, if you want to throw some dollars somewhere, you might need a tax break before the 31st, before January 1st. Don't forget, down there in the description, and I think Thomas will put up a link to the American Cancer Society Hope Lodge here in Atlanta, Georgia. The place is awesome. It takes really good care of people, and it's a blessing for people that have cancer. I see he already, every once in a while, I'll see the chat shows up on my screen for just a couple of seconds. And I saw he put up a link for my book, yesterday. God, I can't even remember the name of my book. Yesterday I couldn't spell pig farmer, and today I are one. Amazon Kindle book. Y'all have an awesome week. If I don't see you there'll be a video out before the first of the year, but if you don't see it and I don't see y'all till next Sunday, have a absolutely fantastic New Year and a blessed New Year. And remember, fantastic New Year's, fantastic days, blessed days. They're not easy to come by, but they are pretty simple to come by. All you have to do is remember two things. The tomb was empty, and he is alive. I'll see y'all next week, okay? Bye.